Salut și bine ați venit la o nouă ediție a ZF IT Generation. Discutăm astăzi despre un nou spațiu dedicat companiilor de tehnologie inaugurat de BCR și Cowork în Timișoara. Înregistrăm chiar această emisiune de aici din Timișoara, din nou spațiu inaugurat astăzi și vom afla detalii despre acest proiect de la Andrei Munteanu, care este cofondator și CEO al Cowork Timișoara. Salut Andrei și bine ai venit!
Salut, mulțumesc tare mult de vizită!
Și de asemenea îl avem alături de noi și pe Thomas Kolarik, care este CEO al BCR. Hello Thomas, thank you for joining us again.
It's a pleasure, thanks for having me.
Andrei, I'm going to start with you. Please share with us a little bit what's the history of this space.
So we started back in 2014 as event organizers, wanting and with the mission to support the local ecosystem in terms of education and entrepreneurship, and then slowly figuring out that we need our own space, our own venue, so that we gather all of these community members in one place, a hub. We started with our first hub back in 2017, second one back in 2018 called The Garden, and now we're opening up The Office in 2022.
Share with us some numbers about this space, and maybe you can share a little bit about the location. Where is it positioned in Timișoara, and how far is it of your centers of interest, let's say?
So we've got 48 workspaces. We've got a event space that can accommodate up to 100 people. We want to make it the central space for tech and innovation in the city. And in terms of where it's located, it's like 10 minutes walking from the city center. It's right across from Town, which is, as its name says, a town within a town. We're close to all of the major landmarks in Timișoara and in easy access to all of them, so that we get to facilitate everybody's focus on what they have to do on a day-to-day basis.
Now let's talk a little bit about the partners that you have in launching this space, so that we can make an introduction and also make Thomas join us in the discussion.
Of course. So we couldn't have done it without the guys at BCR, which were highly energetic in all of this. The team at Innovax helped us a lot in making sure that this location will take place. And together with them, the guys at Amazon Development Center in Romania supported us a lot, and Orange Romania, to make sure that we have this right infrastructure in terms of internet and scouting the right startups from the community.
Thank you very much, Andrei. Now let's go to Thomas. Please share with us why is BCR loving startups, as you said in the short conference that took place here to inaugurate the space.
I mean, I personally love startups because I was a startup for a long time of my life. So maybe this explains a bit of the personal approach. As a company, I think we can profit a lot from startups, in the sense that we can learn from each other. And I discussed it in the break with a few of your colleagues. It's really fascinating to see that the corporate world is changing, and the corporate world is taking a lot of what startups nurtured over the last 10 years. And also startups can profit a lot from the corporate world. So I think this is a very productive cooperation. And it needs, you always need to have some anchor in an organization that likes this kind of things, and that's kind of my role in BCR.
And for those who do not know the space here in Timișoara, you are entering a BCR place. It's a BCR building, and
so this is one of the discussions that we had internally in BCR for quite some time. Obviously, as a bank, which is as a traditional bank in Romania, we're still owning a lot of space, a lot of office space. And on the other hand, you need less and less, automation, digitalization. So what to do with the space? Of course, you can sell it, you can rent it, but you can also do something meaningful with it. And what we are doing here is extremely meaningful, and I really like the vibe here and the setup, and I think it's a very good base for young people who start a company to come here. It's not expensive, and also to network and to do your stuff. And that's something that, it's how infrastructure is like roads. You need to have it to use it. So also kudos to you and for the preparation.
Why Timișoara? Why did you choose Timișoara?
Honestly, this building, we had this building here, of course, yeah, and then of course Timișoara is very interesting from an IT perspective. It's the most Western IT hub in Romania, and yeah, it's a bit also of a role model for us in Bucharest, I must say. Yeah, this I will take home with me definitely. Yeah.
Maybe here Andrei can offer a little bit of context about the startup ecosystem here in Timișoara. How did it develop, and why is such a space needed here?
So we have, when it comes to the startup community, we have a tradition here in Timișoara that a lot of things get developed under the rocks. And that's, on one side it's good because things are happening, but on the other side they don't get to set an example for the others because you don't get to know about them. There are situations where we find about this from the international press, and that's wow. We want to encourage more and more the local startup scene. There are 40 plus technology startups in Timișoara that are from early stage all the way to startups that received seed investments of millions of dollars. We've seen startups exit and got acquired by higher companies. So we have a good ecosystem that all starts from the technology community. We can all pinpoint it, most of it, 80–90% to the technology community. So that's why we're trying to bridge the gap between technology and entrepreneurship in technology.
Who can come here? Which are the minimum requirements to join this space? I don't know. They need to have a George account. Please share with us.
So anybody who does their work on a laptop can come and work from here. They have everything plug and play. They've got 24/7 access. They've got amazing internet. They've got great coffee. They've got meeting rooms. Anything you need in order to do your work if you're in the digital space. So when it comes to our members, we've got anything from freelancers doing content creation, doing programming, all the way to small agencies, all the way to local technology startups or international startups that are setting up shop in Timișoara because we've got really good tech talent. So it's a wide range of individuals all the way to small, medium teams that are setting up shop. Over here, we already have a lot of requests when it comes to this new space, the other one being really, really full right now.
Okay, thank you, and I can vouch for the coffee. Coffee lovers, you must come here. It's a really a treat. So, Thomas, what about which are the requirements from BCR side, if there are any?
No, there are none. I mean, you have to be creative, obviously, you have to have good ideas, and then you are, of course, highly welcome here. Yeah? And maybe to build on what you said, I think it's for us it's also important, you know, that we have some genuine Romanian talents here, that we create value for the Romanian society. Yeah? And here we are a bit in the same boat, because when we try to recruit IT experts or programmers, software developers, then we very often in competition, you know, with the foreign direct investments, with the Googles and the Amazons, with the delivery centers of this world in Romania. And if you're an IT guy or girl in Romania, I mean, working for one of these delivery centers seems like a logical choice. Yeah? On the other hand, if you work for a Romanian company, and BCR is a Romanian company, then obviously you can create purpose. Yeah? It's something that we can offer to them. Create purpose and added value for the local society, and that's, I think, makes a difference. Yeah? And we see more and more people who search for purpose and not only for money when they look for a job. So if you look for purpose, come here.
Thank you for sharing that. And now going back to Andrei, do you expect to have a lot of startups or entrepreneurs who are going to knock on your doors? Do you see growth in this ecosystem? Do you expect this space to be full quite quickly?
That's what we're striving to do. I mean, we have all of the accelerators, educational programs in order to support them. And once they have all of the facilities in one place, the idea is to make sure that we get them in a safe space for them to flourish more and more, and give them that specific support that they need in terms of mentorship, in terms of resources, so that they get to go to that next level. So all in all, yes, we're expecting it to grow. We're expecting it to flourish more and more in terms of the ecosystem. And we're expecting this space to be the hub in terms of tech and entrepreneurship of the local ecosystem here in Timișoara.
Speaking about this, about support, please share with us what's going to happen here for a startup that is going to come in this space, not only in terms of what kind of mentors they will have access to, but also I'm curious in terms of relationship or contact with BCR, and if they have a technology, maybe a product that they think they would fit with what BCR is doing in this segment. What should they expect? What's going to happen here?
I mean, we have, the organizationally, what we have for you as a startup is Innovax. Innovax as a nurturing, as a coaching company. And behind Innovax, you have an expert pool of not only from BCR, we have experts from Microsoft, from IBM. And depending on the topic that you have, we are here to help you for free, yeah, obviously. So be it a topic with accounting, be it something with financing, be it even software development, architecture. I had long discussions lately about, how can I find a full stack developer. So very broad topics that we can provide help with, and many startups don't want to mess with topics like financing or even marketing can be of a hassle. If you're a true IT guy, you don't care about marketing, which is not good. So this is the coaching aspect that we provide in Innovax. Another kind of tool that we have is called the sandbox, the innovation sandbox. This is if you are a company and you want to work together with one of the biggies like BCR, you can come to us and say, okay, I want to have the sandbox wildcard, which means that we will treat you differently than a normal company that wants to do business with us. A normal company that wants to do business with a big corporate has to go to a lot of checks, and there are contracts and it's all very complicated. And we want to make that easier for you to do business with us. So that's kind of on the how side. And on the what side, what we are working on right now is something called open banking. And I'm a big believer in the topic. So banks will translate themselves to fit more and more into ecosystems. And in order to kind of make this ecosystem work, what we need is APIs, so an API economy. And this means that the traditional banking systems have to be transformed into banking as a service systems, which allows then you as a company to plug into that and to use that. So this would be the strategic direction and also the technological foundation for cooperation with software companies, with creative software companies.
That's maybe a little bit surprising for anyone who thinks of big corporates like some big fortresses with high walls and who want to keep everyone away and guard very well their assets and so on.
Yes, and it's also not easy for corporates, yeah. So there are compliance topics, there are legal topics, but we care about them. So we are I think we are in a good position as a bank and as a trusted partner also for the society to make sure that we can keep all the legal and other requirements that are necessary for the space. And also it's a technical challenge, yeah. So if you want to open your systems, you have to make sure that things are secure, that things are available, and that is not being misused. But that's something we take on us because we think there is more value in the sum of us than is just in us alone.
So if a tech startup has an idea maybe to have an add-on for George, let's see, they'll have an open door here and availability to test and discuss. Great. Now let's go back to Andrei. So share with us what's going to happen, the same question. What's going to happen with a startup who is going to come here? What kind of things are going to happen here?
So first of all, they're going to receive one-on-one mentorship. So whatever they need in terms of resources, in terms of know-how, in terms of access to people that have various expertise, we will be facilitating that for them. Of course, this we can do both with some of the partners that we have, like Innovax, like Orange, like Amazon, if they need devices, if they need network. Also, we're going to be running some of the programs. So they're going to have pre-accelerations, they're going to have accelerations, so that they can quickly scale to the next step. And on top of that, you get to grab a coffee with a lot of professionals. And we know that most of the deals happen next to the coffee machine. Most of the learnings and sharings happen when you bump with somebody.
Also, you have
space.
an elevator here, so
we do have an elevator. You might
it's quite
be
a
able
short
to.
ride.
You might be able to pitch somebody really quick. There are rumors that we have an angel investment network in Timișoara that will be around the space as well. So you have access to all of these resources, and this is why these hubs are really important. They bring everything under the same roof, so it's at your fingertips. You get easy access to everything that you need so that you can focus on developing your business.
Why? Let me ask you, let me be a sort of a cynical Facebook commenter that says, why do you spend money in this? Why do you invest money in this? Why these nice spaces with open spaces, nice furniture and good coffee and so on? What's the real value that this space brings, and do startups really need that? Why?
Well, first of all, we don't believe that the walls and the furniture and anything else has any kind of value to it. We believe that the people that we bring within the space are the ones that are creating the actual value. So we focus on that, but of course you need to have some decent amenities to be able to do your job, to have those meeting rooms, to have that place where, to have that coffee machine that does a really good job. But we believe in the people. So they're our main focus. And the why, because why we do all of this, as I mentioned, we started as event organizers. We wanted to create added value within the community. We wanted to make sure that at the end of the day, we leave something behind us. And this space is just a next step to move forward in order for us to be able to sustain that. We need bigger spaces to bring the people together. We managed to grow the community that doesn't fit anymore in the other spaces that we have, which is something that we're really proud of. And it shows us the growing trend of the community, and it shows us that we need to provide more and more for our community, and this is why we're doing this.
Thomas, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, it's the value is in the existence of it, as I mentioned, because I mean it needs to be there. Because if it's not there, it will not be used, and then you will not have people here working. You won't have the ideas. So in that sense, it's actually an infrastructure that even the state should provide. Yeah, the state is building roads. Yeah, why is the state not building centers like that? Yeah, and you have parks for people to meet and take their dogs out. And this is very similar. It's a precondition for a working society. It's a precondition for a working economy, for a creative economy. And it's a bit of a pity that it's actually has to be paid for by the private sector. If we are a bit visionary now, yeah, it could also have. It's a topic that, whereas they say that we should have more of that, and we should not make such a fuss about it. It's really normal. It's the extension of it's an extension of conventional economy. It's the network economy. It's the basis for the network economy.
I was asking you also because you said you told us about your history as an entrepreneur, that 20 years ago you had your own startup. So I was wondering, did you have then anything like this, or do you think, looking back, that it would have made a difference if you had this kind of space, this kind of cooperation and discussion?
Yeah, like I told you, I would have loved to have something like that, obviously. Yeah, like we had to get our own office, had to get our own, furniture. We had even to paint the walls ourselves because we didn't have the money, and obviously the furniture was a bit cheaper than the one here. And then, of course, yeah, we had an office, which gave us, of course, a feeling of proud. That's clear. On the other hand, then you missed, because we invited the friends and did some warm-up parties, the things that you do. But at that time, and it was quite a few years ago, it wasn't affordable for a startup, to buy office spaces, and they were only very expensive office centers at that amount of time. But something open, something that's affordable, that would have been really to value to us. So next startup that I'll start here. Yeah.
Now that we have the chance to have you here at our show, I was wondering if I were a tech entrepreneur and saw this discussion, I think I would be wondering what kind of technologies are on BCR's agenda, what kind of things, what kind of technologies, products is Thomas looking, so that maybe I have something on this and maybe I can impress him. So please share with us.
You know, the cool thing about the bank is it's very broad. So we have a lot of technologies. We don't have, and here I'm quite proud, we don't have any proprietary technology. So everything is open. So it goes from Linux to Oracle, to Java, of course, yeah, and to Java frameworks. We are a big Spring Boot shop. It's funny because I had a session with Polish students 3 weeks ago, and we were getting at a Java discussion, and they were saying, yeah, but you use all these fancy things that we don't learn at university. So some of the things, and we have trainings for them. Yeah. So when you're a Java developer, for example, and you come to us, we give you a training and learn. You can learn all these fancy frameworks. Yeah. On the infrastructure side, cloud obviously is a big topic. We migrated George to Amazon Web Services a few months ago, and we are just looking now into a cloud analysis program, and so topics like Dockers, containers, Kubernetes, these kind of things are of course high on the agenda. So it's really quite, I would say, state-of-the-art technology, the other maybe interesting thing for you as a techie or as a developer is that it's not that you are only working in one area, you know, where you do your database from A to Z, but it's also about interfaces. It's about interoperability. It's about software integration. A lot of the topics that we have complex system is integration. So message brokers, middleware, Camunda is a topic that we have now on the table, and many others.
Thank you very much for sharing. Now back to Andrei. How do you see the appetite, let's say, for entrepreneurship and founding a startup here in the region versus, let's say, going to work for a big corporate? We have mentioned a few names earlier.
I think so. If you would have asked me this question 5 years ago, I would say close to zero, none appetite whatsoever, because we have the paved path. That's the easy one. We go, we study, we become a semi-professional, and then we go get a house, a dog, and then we retire. And the other one, which is unpaved, it's difficult. It's with ups and downs. You have to start as early as possible, because otherwise you're going to have commitments. You're not going to afford to do that kind of a shift. But if we'd be to roll on to 2022 right now, we see a shift in this mindset, both from the young people, because they have a more appetite for risking things, and some generations have passed, but also from the ones who already have experience, who've already worked, who already created a safety net for them, and they started coming out of some of the big companies and starting on their own path because they have industry expertise, they have some know-how, they've seen some problems, and that they started tackling those problems. So we've seen these two shifts of perspectives that look very, very promising in the years to come. I'm expecting this to happen more and more in the next, let's say, 5 years.
Okay, and for the end of our discussion, let me ask you, how will you rate this project if it's a successful one, let's say in 1, 2, 3 years, or I don't know, in the future? Which are the metrics you are going to look to?
Well, my personal target is in the next 5 years to have a unicorn put Timișoara on the map, and for us to somehow see that we were part of it at one point in their life. But in terms of the space, my main KPI is to have as many people as possible over here, to do as many events as possible, so that we get to make sure that we facilitate this interaction between the community members. And I see it again as a really important hub, and I definitely like to grow because we have some space up, down, left, right. Let's fill this one up because we've got a lot of work to do within the local ecosystem.
Glad to help, yeah.
Thank you, and a bold statement from you, and we'll be here to ask you, and we are looking forward to see that unicorn coming from Timișoara. So, Thomas, share with us, what kind of metrics are you going to look at, if there are any?
So for us, I mean, Innovax is on a good track. We are nurturing roughly 100 companies, 50 every year at the moment. So if we can keep that space, we are not in it for the money. Maybe that's an interesting differentiator. As long as we can afford it, and we can afford it, which is good news. So we give a bit back to society, which is our responsibility. So if actually, and for example, for us, the feedback that we receive from the companies we nurture in Innovax is very important. And I just checked a bit of the feedback before I came here, and it's very positive. So for me, so to say, the company experience in Innovax is one of the leading factors. If the companies are happy, if they say it's of value what we do with them, they learn something from us, they profit, yeah, then we're happy.
Thomas, Andrei, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Aceasta a fost ediția de astăzi a ZF IT Generation. Vă mulțumim pentru că ne-ați urmărit și vă așteptăm și la edițiile următoare. La revedere!